News Radio Wham 1180 welcomes you to the Seniors Rock Show, presented by Century Benefits Group, Medicare and Employee Benefits Advisors. The Seniors Rock Show is a lively weekly discussion shining a bright light on aging with fun, entertaining, and important info for all adults. Join in with your comments or questions. Call 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now, live from the News Radio Wham 1180 studios in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Good morning, everybody, and good morning especially to my guests here today in the studio. Mike, and Pam is here, and also Gigi. She's going to be here later on in the show. She's with Touching Hearts at Home. She's been on before, and so is my co-host, Mike Robinson, and our other guest, Mike King, is here from Century Benefits Group, and of course Pam's on the board. So we're going to have some fun, and both of the Mikes that are here today are founders of local businesses, and they're also members of the Grape Group. I want to mention that as well, but they've both been in the community for decades. Mike Robinson, he's a well-known estate planning attorney, and he's the founder of the law office of Michael Robinson. And Mike King, he's an expert in Medicare and employee benefits, and he's the founder of Century Benefits Group. You know, our goal today and every day is to bring content that's positive, memorable, or just sometimes just fun, and mostly important information that we like to impact your life with, or maybe somebody you love. You know, we're all aging, right? Everybody's in this together, and we hope that the topics we cover make your life a little less challenging, or maybe someone you love's a little less challenging, and that you learn, and we build awareness and growth while we're doing all this good stuff. So we are live too. So if you want to call today, you have questions, we're at 585-222-1180. Again, 585-222-1180 if you want to give us a buzz and be on the show, or just leave a question with Pam. So my co-host, Mike Robinson, has some important updates for us later today about nursing homes. He's going to share that later in the show, as I said, but Mike King is going to fill us in now on special enrollment periods and Medicare. So it's a big thing, and it'll be coming up in a couple of months. So good morning, Mike King, and thanks for being with us.
Good
So
morning.
tell us about
glad
this.
to be here.
Yeah, tell us about this special enrollment period, because I thought it was so strict. Everybody gets nervous about that 3-month window.
Right. Well, actually, the for Medicare plans, the opener of most people know this. The open enrollment period is between October 15th and December 7th each year, and for changes effective for January 1st. Now, believe it or not, there are something called special election periods, which allow you to make the change of your Medicare Advantage plan or prescription drug plan during the year, okay, which is kind of interesting. The first thing is, if you happen to move, if you move outside your service area, and by the way, our service area in the Rochester area is the 6 county regions, but if you move, say, to Steuben County, you're in a different service area, that allows you to make changes to your Medicare plan. A lot of people in New York will move to Florida or to a different state, and those states have different plans, and that's called a special election. You're allowed to change your plan if you move outside the service area. Number two is, let's say you are working for a company and you're on an employer plan, and you leave the employer plan at any age, past 65 or 67, 68, you're allowed to change your plan again, because gets considered a special election. You normally, for special election periods, you have 60 days or 2 months to make a change to your Medicare plan once you have the special election. Now, there's a few more special elections that are out there that people may not be realized. The first one is called if the federal or the state declares an emergency disaster in the state or the federal government. That's considered a special election. And right now, New York State has declared a special election for the prison guard strike. I'm not sure what it relates to Medicare, but the prison guard strike, the state declared an emergency for that, and
Wow.
that period is open until August 31st of 2025. So people can still change their plan if they needed to. Now, the second thing is one of the better things, in addition to that, is New York State has a program it's called EPIC. The EPIC program is designed to help seniors save money on prescription drugs. To qualify for EPIC, your income has to be less. If you're single, has to be less than 75,000 a year, and if you're married, it has to be less than 100,000 a year. It's primarily designed to help seniors save money on prescription drug. But if you have that program, you are allowed to make a change to your Medicare plan one time during the year, in addition to the open enrollment period. Okay. Now, people say, well, geez, I'm pretty happy with my plan. Why would I need to make a change anyhow, right? Most people do not make changes to their plan. Well, here's one example of a couple of clients that happened to me. They were taking the prescription drug. Their doctor prescribed them a new brand drug in the middle of the year. And the insurance company that they were on didn't offer that drug. It wasn't in their formulary. So they wanted to get that drug because the doctor prescribed it. So that's a good example of why people may need to change their plan in the middle of the year. So if they have EPIC, or if they happen to be during the emergency enrollment periods, they can make a change during the year.
Can I say something here, Mike?
Yeah, sure.
I think would it also be smart of someone to call someone that is helping them with their plans, like you're a Medicare advisor. If they make a change in anything that could affect their prescriptions or their, health care, shouldn't they contact you maybe? Would that be a good idea?
Be happy to help people out, even give them the answers to questions. Our office number is 224-8138. We specialize in Medicare plans, and we've been doing it for 25 years.
Yeah. Happy New Year.
We've been doing it for a long time. Thank you. So that's
anniversary. When was that, by the way? I know you just celebrated 25.
I think it was just 6 months ago. Actually, it was our 25th anniversary.
Yeah, that's something. We're going into 10 years with the show.
Oh, wow.
6 on Wham. So I just wanted to mention that. But go ahead.
Also, you should know this. There's two types of Medicare plans. There's Medicare Advantage plans, which most people have in this area, but there's also Medicare Supplement plans. They're a different type of plan, a little bit richer than the Medicare Advantage plan. The great news here in New York State, Medicare Supplement plans are open year-round. You can join a Medicare Supplement anytime you want. And unlike other states, there's no health questions. It's immediate eligibility for Medicare Supplement plans. So that's great for some people who travel the country, who want to have access anywhere, or they have a lot of medical conditions going on, or they just don't want to pay any copays going forward. They're a little more expensive than a Medicare Advantage plan, but there's some benefits to Medicare supplements that people may need. So
and everybody has their individual needs. So everybody needs a different kind of plan sometimes, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one last thing is that this is called the annual election period, October 15th to December 7th. Now, between January 1st and March 1st of each year is called the open enrollment period, which can be confusing, okay? But that allows you to make changes to your plan too. The first 3 months of each year, the Congress said, hey, listen, people want to try their plan out. If they're not happy, they may want to change their plan. So that's also available in the first 3 months of the year.
But wait, okay, so what's the first one in the fall called?
The annual election period.
I've been messing it up, and I've been.
I know most people call it the open enrollment period. I know it's confusing, but that's how Medicare has its own lingo. But just keep that in mind that if you want to make a change the first 3 months of the year, you can do that. But again, you can call our office for help, assistance. We know this stuff pretty much front and backwards. And there are sometimes, some people who don't take a lot of prescription drugs. We encourage them to still sign up for the EPIC program if they qualify, because that gives them kind of like a get out of jail free card, because in case they need a change or want to change, they can do it, one time during the year. So we encourage, and you know what, if you want the application for the EPIC, just call our office at 224-8138. We'll mail you the application. You fill it out, you send it to Albany, and they send you an ID card back. So I heard.
And you don't charge anything for that, right?
For most people, there's
Yeah.
no cost for Epic.
Okay.
So it's a great program in New York State. Not all states have this program, so we're pretty fortunate to have it.
But my point there was that you are not going to charge someone for sending them the form or anything. I mean, there's no charge
there's no
for that.
cost. No,
Right, right.
We do it
People
as a
always
service.
wonder, yeah.
We do it as a service to the community. We also have brochures on if you're new to Medicare, how does Medicare work? If you want to do some reading on that, we have a brochure that explains Medicare, primarily designed for new people that are 64 or 63 and got to be Medicare soon. Just call our office. We'll send you some information that we've developed that's easy to read, English language. And if you have questions in general about Medicare, it's a free service to the community. Just call my office at 224-8138. I'll be happy to help you out.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people not to struggle with this because I remember, I mean, I've been doing this. I mean, it's almost 10 years now that I've been retired in getting Social Security and, Medicare now for a few more years. But it's very confusing, and I'm so happy to get help. So people, don't do it yourself. Call Mike, call Century Benefits Group, 224-8138, and stay right there because we're going to be right back with Mike King after the break.
You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want. You can't always get what you want.
And welcome back to the Seniors Rock Radio Show. I'm estate planning attorney and co-host Mike Robinson. And we'll continue now with Mike King of the Century Benefits Group. And Mike, before the break, you were telling us about the various enrollment periods and options for people on Medicare. But there's also enrollment periods that apply for people who are under age 65, correct?
That's correct, Mike. Yes.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, there are people who are on the New York State health insurance marketplace or people who have an individual, we call it off-exchange individual plan. They also have special election periods where you can make changes to your plan. And I'll give you an example here. First of all, a lot of people who leave an employer go on COBRA for a certain number of months. When the COBRA ends, that's considered a special election to enroll in a new plan. Just like the Medicare plans, if you move outside the service area or outside the state, that's considered a special election, again, to make a change to your plan. Now, if you have a change in your household, as an example, if you get married, if you get divorced, or if you adopt a child, that's considered a special election period also to make changes to your account. Change in immigration status. If you become a citizen of the United States, or if you're released from incarceration, from prison, that's considered a special election also, okay? The next thing here is if you have a major change of your income during the middle of the year, if you have fortunate enough to win the lottery and your income goes drastically up, you're allowed to make a change to your individual plan on the marketplace or off the marketplace. So good luck with that one.
Good to know, just in case.
Just in case somebody's going to win it. There also is a place in there for errors. A lot of times in the marketplace can be confusing. You may check off the wrong box, or there may be a plan error or something you made. That's actually allowed to make corrections as a special election by errors that may be done by you or a staff person. And the last one here is that if you're Alaska Native, which is not too many around here, but they're allowed a special election once a month, year round. So it's kind of interesting that they are allowed to make changes to their plan. So those are some things that, again, you may not be aware of. Oh, also the same thing too, natural disasters. That's also considered a special election here in New York State. Now, the open enrollment, this is important. The open enrollment period for individual plans in the marketplace is between November 1st and last year it was till January 31st. So If you want to make your plan effective for January, your deadline is December 15th. The marketplace uses the 15th of the month to be the deadlines for the first of the following month. And we encourage everybody to go on the marketplace to update your projected income for 2026 for next year. Even if it's not going to change, go on your account, update it so that your plan will never go away, but your subsidy might. That's important. You don't want to lose your subsidy. So if you have questions, again, you can call us on that too. But the marketplace is a great place. It's also the place you go to enroll for Medicaid, for Child Health Plus, and for the Central Plan, which is a fantastic plan if you qualify for it. All these changes allow you 60 days. If you're having a special election, you have 60 days to make the change on the marketplace or off the marketplace. So if they have questions, feel free to call me at 224-8138. I think that's pretty much it for the marketplace and the off marketplace changes that are allowed. So we encourage you to stay on top of it.
And how far ahead will we know about next year? I mean, I think everybody should go to their advisor, before it's time to make the final decision and make sure that everything's in place. But
right.
So how do you know?
Right around October 15th to November 1st, you're going to get a letter in the mail from the marketplace. And the people on Medicare are going to get a letter in the mail from their insurance company showing them what the changes are for next year. Now, sometimes it's a document you have to read through. But
pay attention.
That's very important. I'm telling you right now, things will change for next year on both Medicare and both the exchange. Things change every year. So you want to stay on top of it at the end of the year to make sure that you have your plan, you get your subsidy, and your Medicare plan stays in effect too. And again, what happened last year, some of the Medicare plans went away. They closed them down.
That's right.
So we had to re-enroll many people in a new plan. And we don't want you to get stuck with not having a Medicare plan.
Yeah,
that
wouldn't
going
be good.
away.
Yeah,
that happens last year where plans went away. So we're monitoring that for next year. And we'll come, and we'll keep in touch with people on that. All right.
Very good.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you, Mike King.
Thank you.
This was very good information. Folks, call him at Century Benefits Group, or you can go to centurybenefitsgroup.com. He is a Medicare and employee benefit advisor and expert. 224-8138. And if you wouldn't mind staying right there, we're going to be talking to GIGI Larmineau of Touching Hearts at Home. And she's got some very interesting information as well on PTSD and older adults. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Seniors Rock Radio. I am happy now to introduce a guest who always has a smile, and she always has great advice too when it comes to caring for aging adults, especially. Giovanna Larmineau of Touching Hearts at Home in Rochester has years of experience. She's a wonderful person, and she's working with elders for years. And excuse me. It's that stuff in the air there. Working with elders for years. And today our topic is PTSD in older adults. It's an important subject. Thank you for joining us today, GIGI. Always welcome to have you here.
Good morning. I'm glad to be back.
GIGI, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
I think for many of us, when we hear about post-traumatic stress disorder, we think of military or police or first responders, but is PTSD something that's common among older adults?
Yes, absolutely, Mike. And you are correct. Most people, when we think about PTSD, we definitely think about, veterans or individuals who have had careers where they faced traumatic situations regularly. but PTSD is very, very prevalent in many people, especially older adults. You know, they've lived a very long life, and it's very unlikely that they haven't gone through some form of traumatic situation in that life. And in addition to that, a lot of things people don't think about is that we were very fortunate to have the mental health help that we need nowadays, but in the past, when trauma happened, you know, many, many years ago, it was swept under the rug.
Yep.
And so a lot of older adults are facing PTSD due to all of those traumatic situations they maybe went through as children, as young adults that were literally just ignored.
Yeah, good point. How does PTSD affect older adults?
PTSD can affect older adults in many different ways. So, especially if there are underlying other medical conditions, a lot of older adults may experience anger out of nowhere or confusion. It's very, very common to have a lapse in time. So there's lots of different ways, and everybody is different based on the situation, especially when it comes to triggers that can instill a PTSD situation.
And I just, when we talk about confusion, it just confusion generally, or was specific events?
So it can be general depending on the situation. I have known individuals who have had PTSD that maybe were driving and they left their home to go somewhere, and next thing they know, they're there and they literally have a complete lapse in their memory of getting from point A to point B. So it doesn't have to be situational. It doesn't have to be related to whatever their trigger is, but it can affect memory both in younger individuals as well as older adults. And due to older adults already struggling with memory at times, it is much more significant for them.
Interesting.
Wow. So Gigi, if you just tuned in, we're talking to Gigi with Touching Hearts at Home about PTSD in older adults. Now, there's other symptoms or there's other health issues that can happen when you get older. Do those things also, does that worsen the PTSD, Gigi? Things like dementia, you're talking about memory loss.
Absolutely. Yes. So physical condition can definitely affect PTSD. Anxiety is already something that kind of is more of a symptom of PTSD. So as you age and get older, anxiety can worsen, which would worsen the PTSD itself. But then dementia is a huge piece. Any type of dementia, a lot of times, brings us back to a prior time in our lives, right? We tend to, our short-term memory tends to go first or is
Yep.
affected first. So if these individuals are starting to remember or think that they are in a situation that they were in 20 years ago, and that's the time that they experienced that trauma, they could literally be reliving this trauma every single day.
Wow. That is
Yeah.
frightening.
It
That is
is.
really frightening. How can you help somebody with PTSD? How do they treat it?
So there's many ways to treat PTSD. I, of course, am not a doctor, so I always like to put that disclaimer there. But, you know, seeking psychiatric help so that they are able to provide medication if it's appropriate, but also seeking therapy. So if someone doesn't need medication or doesn't want to go that route, a lot of therapists specialize in PTSD that they can really give you the tools you need in order to properly work through these symptoms and these scenarios. Of course, that's
Absolutely.
significantly more difficult if someone has dementia because they're not going to remember those tools and how to implement them. But for
Yeah.
somebody who does not have dementia, therapy is huge for PTSD. And then, as far as loved ones or caregivers helping someone through PTSD, it's very important to stay as calm as possible and make sure that you are helping them work through it versus sometimes we have a hard time, especially when it comes to dementia and PTSD, you know, oh, you're not there anymore. You're not 20 years old anymore. You're 80 years old now. Stop worrying about it. It's really important to kind of meet them where they're at because
Mm-hmm.
arguing with what their reality is not going to help them. It's not going to change how they're feeling or thinking, and it's not going to change their reality, and it's just going to cause more angst and anxiety.
Very good
Wonderful,
point.
wonderful
Yeah.
advice. Absolutely. And it's, we always say meet them where they are. When it comes to
Yes.
dementia, you meet them where they are, redirect. And these are so many good things you brought to the table today, Gigi. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we have to go? We have about a minute left.
One thing that is always important as well, just to throw out there, is to always consider when PTSD is involved, as well as PTSD and dementia, weapons in the home. Always make sure that if there's any weapons in the home, make sure that everything is locked up safely. Or if they do not have to be in the home where this individual lives, placing them in someone else's home, a loved one's home as well. So just something I always like to throw out there, because people don't always connect the two when it comes to older adults, PTSD, dementia, and weapons. They think that they're going to forget about them, and they don't.
Wow. Okay. We're going to have a show on this actually in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that, folks. But thank you, Gigi. Terrific stuff. Can't wait to have you back again.
Thank you.
Folks, for exceptional home care, peace of mind, compassionate support for you and your loved ones, contact Touching Hearts at Home. They can be reached at touchingheartsnewyork.com, or you can call 585-271-7390. That's 271-7390. And we're going to be right back with some more fun things for you to think about. We want to lighten it up now in segment 4, so stay right there. We'll be right back.
Wild horses couldn't drag me away.
Welcome back to Seniors Rock Radio. Joanna is loving the Rolling Stones bumps today. 3
Yes,
for
I
3,
am.
Joanna. That's pretty good.
Yeah, we didn't get any Grateful Dead today. Haha.
That's all right. We'll get there. Hey, before we lighten things up, I do want to quickly share some recent developments that may impact people looking to place a loved one in a nursing home. And the first of those is recently a federal judge in Texas struck down 2 key provisions of the Biden-era nursing home staffing rule, one being a 24/7 requirement to have an RN on staff, and then second, a minimum of just about 3.5 hours of nursing care per resident per day. And of course, those were intended to improve the quality of care. So the mandates were struck down, and then shortly after that ruling, the House Energy and Commerce Committee proposed in its budget reconciliation blueprint a moratorium on that staffing mandate all the way through 2035, along with a freeze on provider taxes, which are a major revenue source that the states use to boost Medicaid reimbursement rates. So without those minimum standards and looking at the not yet passed funding cuts to Medicaid, nursing homes may vary widely in staffing. And potentially significantly affecting care quality. So, always the case, but even more so now, families really need to be vigilant when they're touring facilities to assess, their staffing metrics, and because clearly that provides a major impact on the level of care received. But the second thing is more local. And that is, we've recently been seeing in nursing home admission agreements or the fiscal agent agreements where somebody is pledging to be responsible for the residents' financial affairs, language that essentially prohibits people, once they've been admitted to the nursing home, prohibits the family member that's helping them from doing any kind of transfer planning to get the individual qualified for Medicaid. And in fact, that language effectively creates personal liability for that family member if they do that Medicaid planning after the loved one enters the nursing home. The language is drafted in a confusing manner. It's buried in those agreements. and many people sign them. They have no idea that that's what they're agreeing to. So I just want to emphasize again, if you're looking to place a family member, before you sign those agreements, have an attorney review it for you, because otherwise you could be putting yourself in a very precarious financial position.
Oh, good advice, folks. Talk to an attorney, please. Listen to Mike and don't sign anything unless you know what you're signing. And that happens all the time. I mean, how often do you go to a doctor's office and they ask you to sign the waiver or this or that? And people just get used to it. You just kind of skim over it and throw your name on there and off it goes, especially when it's electronic. So, good advice. Don't do that, folks, especially when it comes to a long-term nursing home situation. And okay, so, I'm going to talk about the air because it is, I was blowing my nose there and I told Pam on the break, it's time for me to close the windows because I do love a summer breeze, but it's time to close the windows and put the air on. And I just found out this morning, I looked it up because I'm like, what's going on? Well, the grass pollen is really high right now with the summer high heat and the humidity. It all adds up to impact your air, and that's outdoor and indoor. So if you're feeling lousy, the air conditioning that's keeping you cool might be making you sick. And that is because you're breathing dust and dead skin cells and who knows what else. You can ask Peter Gordon about that from your home's air duct system. And yes, that stuff is circulating with the air conditioning. So I was reading that the experts advise that even for your personal hygiene, shower and change your clothes after being outdoors to remove the pollen. And then, of course, keep your windows closed, especially during peak pollen times. Consider using an air conditioner or air purifier. And they're on sale right now. So call Peter Gordon at Indoor Air Professionals and get your medical grade air purifier for $400 off. It's 40 times more efficient than HEPA filtered air purifiers. And you're going to be happy. Call them today, 427-8020, extension 303. Folks, next week we're going to be out at Sarah's Garden Center in Brockport. We're going to be remote and live. It's on 628. We're going to have a lot of fun. I hope that you'll come out there and see us and say hi. We might have some prizes for you too. But Kathy Kepler and family have the most amazing display of flowers and plants. And wait until you see the stone wall structures. They were built by craftsmen from Scotland and Ireland. It's unbelievable. So you have to stop out. Sarah's Garden Center in Brockport next week, 11 to 12. We'll be there. So say hello. And it's Pollinator Month. We're going to have a special guest who knows all about that. So don't forget to join us, please, and support our sponsors. And I hope that you have a great weekend. You'll come back next week, invite your friends, and celebrate together that Seniors Rock.